ITU is the lead UN agency for information and communication technologies. We've been participating in the last few of these conferences because ICTs has a major role to play in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We in ITU have done a lot of work on this, in particular to develop an internationally agreed methodology to estimate just how much emissions are coming from the ICT sector, but also how much you can reduce emissions in the other major polluting sectors like energy generation, transportation, buildings, e-waste, through the use of ICTs.
Okay, on energy specifically, I mean, a concrete example, a smart grid. What is a smart grid?
There's a lot of waste in the current energy distribution system, and the loading of the network doesn't match the generation. So the most easy example of the use of smart grids is that each home would have a smart meter. So the owners would be able to see how much electricity they're actually using in their home and adjust the use of electricity to ensure that some machines, like washing machines, might be using a cycle during the night when the charges are lower, this sort of thing, so they can reduce the energy consumption in the home. And of course, you multiply that by billions of homes, it's a lot of energy that you can save.
Is this technology that has already been applied, or is this something that you're still working on, or what kind of stage have you reached?
It's coming on stream now. There's a lot of investment going into this. Hundreds of millions of these smart meters are going to be installed in the next few years. It's very important, of course, that we have an international standard on these, so that you benefit from the economies of scale of an international standard, and also that it can be used anywhere in the world. So this is something that we're working on in ITU. All our standards are interoperable and international standards, and also they're non-discriminatory, so anyone can build equipment to and products to our standards and enter a global market.
And something else you're working on is an intelligent transport system. That's something we've heard a fair amount about here at COP17, transport systems. How does that? How do you apply that? How does that work?
That's right. I mean, ICTs are in every aspect of life. Transportation is a good example, where you can reduce the amount of pollution being generated from the transport sector by more intelligent traffic management, for example. A very good example we had demonstrated recently was a system where if you're going to a restaurant for a meal, you can reserve a parking slot somewhere nearby, and your car navigation system will take you directly to that parking slot and will charge you for the amount of time you're in the parking slot and bill you all automatically. So it saves people driving round and round trying to find a parking slot. That has been shown to save incredible amount of energy and pollution.
And are these things that can be applied across the globe, developing countries as well as developed countries? Will they be accessible to people in developing countries?
Yeah, that's very important. This is why in ITU because we have 193 governments members of ITU, but also 700 private sector companies members. And so when we develop our standards, we involve the developing countries as well to make sure that we produce standards that are not only suitable for developed countries but also developing countries. And I know, of course, if they're involved in the development of the standards, it helps them to implement these standards. Mobile phones, for example, are used widely now. Almost everybody has a mobile phone. There's lots of applications that can be applied on a mobile phone to help people adapt to climate change and also mitigate climate change. And we had 2 projects going in Ghana now to show just how much ICTs can help developing countries to combat climate change in terms of mitigation and adaptation.
And is this a message that's been taken on board? Are people here receptive to the ideas, to the fact that telecommunications can have this impact on the climate change debate?
Yeah, this is what we're here for, is to try and get the message across to the negotiators of the significant role that ICTs have to play in the context of climate change, both mitigation and adaptation. And I believe we're getting this message across. It's taken some time because obviously the negotiators tend to be from the environment ministries, not too familiar with ICTs, so you have to start off by explaining what ICTs is to start with. But I think it's generally accepted now that the only way you're going to achieve the percentage reductions in greenhouse gas emissions that climate experts are saying are needed is through the application of ICTs. And that's why we very firmly believe that the new institutions that have been set up in Cancun should specifically provide funding for the rollout of ICT projects, especially in developing countries. And this is what we would like to see mentioned in the outcome from Durban.